G'day, my name's Henry Kraus and I'm Head of Commercial for Simplify.hr. Today I would like to take time to tell you a little bit about our business, who we are and what we do, and how we can help your organization with some of the challenges you are facing. So first of all, who is Simplify.hr? Simplify.hr is a Naspers, a Media24 business that focuses on HR technologies, especially in the talent attraction and talent management sectors. We're a level 3 BE organization, specifically designed for the South African market, but also currently expanding into Africa and the Middle East. So what do we do as a business? And how do we help you in your business? Simplify.hr's technology focuses on 5 pillars where we feel that we can have an effective impact on your organization. The first one of this is effective employer branding. Making sure your employer brand stands out in the market, that your business also compete in the market for the specific skills that you need, and also the ability to track those skills. The second area is an effective and efficient candidate experience, making sure that every single candidate engaging with your platform has got a positive experience and also a positive connection to the brand. Thirdly, automation. How do we make sure that your team and your recruiters spend their time efficiently on things and tasks that matter? Nobody wants to go through 1,000 CVs. The fourth point is data analytics. Making sure that you have the data at hand in a real-time scenario where you can make better decisions and effective decisions on your talent management strategy. And lastly, but definitely not the least, is a POPIA compliant environment, where we make sure that our clients have a secure and sufficient way of managing personal information and also allowing candidates to feel safe that they can share this information with you as a company. But I would like to show you a little bit more on how the system looks like and what it does and how it works. So join me when I take you through this awesome journey and what Simplify.hr can give you. Let's focus on the first area that we've mentioned, employer branding. Critical aspect of any talent management strategy. The element of employer branding is critical, and the first step is to use your careers page as a way to attract these talent. The careers page is a fundamental important aspect to any employer branding strategy, as it gives a candidate a really good sense of who the company is that they're applying to and potentially who their future employer would be. Careers pages contains a lot of information that the candidate can use to make that decision. Simplify.hr makes this very easy. Through our content management tool that actually empowers the recruiters to build these careers pages and allowing them to control the content on these careers pages efficiently. Furthermore, when a candidate decides to apply to any of the vacancies on your careers page, they will see this marketing element right through to the point where they apply to the actual job, enforcing that employer brand with regards to the application process. Once a candidate decides to apply to the role, we need to ensure that this process is as efficient as possible. Nobody wants to retype the entire CV on an application. Candidates would like to have an efficient process and make sure that all the content that they submit through the process or through the system is efficiently captured. The Simplify system makes this easy because we require basic information from a registration or application process. Capturing basic information and capturing the actual CV from the candidate and using technology to extract all the information necessary for a recruiter to make a decision on this candidate is essential. That's also impacting the candidate journey as well as the automation and efficiency from a recruitment process later on. We also need to make sure that at this point we can have a method of screening our candidates. And at this point of application, it's important to consider things like questionnaires. Questions that need to be asked candidates to make sure that they meet the minimum criteria. This enables recruiters to very quickly shortlist and screen candidates that doesn't meet the criteria of the organization or the role that they've applied to. Once submissions is done, consent is given by a candidate, making sure that we also tick the boxes from a POPIA compliance point of view. Now let's move into the recruiter side of things, which is where the magic really happens. And a lot of the Simplify functionalities that will impact the life of a recruiter and also line managers that is involved in the recruitment process. When we look at the recruitment process, not all recruitment processes are the same, and not all recruitment processes for every vacancy is the same. So we need to have a system that can be customized or configured in a way that we can have specific workflows for specific roles. For instance, I might have a blue-collar type of role that requires me to take a candidate through a medical or some sort of assessment, where the contrast would be when we take a C-suite candidate through a panel interview. We cannot have the same process for these two types of roles. So the Simplify system actually allows us to build these workflows that will enable us to have specific communication to a job seeker that is applied to a specific role, personalizing that experience even further. Firstly, let's go back to the beginning. Everything starts with a vacancy. When we create a vacancy on the Simplify platform, we've designed a technology to either speak to third-party tools like ERP systems to feed vacancy information in. So if you run a requisition outside of Simplify, that interface is possible. Otherwise, you can actually manage your requisition processes within the tool itself. That allows us to have a streamlined approach to getting vacancies approved within a platform and also making sure that we meet certain audit requirements. Once a vacancy is created in the system, we start adding job specs and job criteria. And this is where Simplify has employed the help of AI to help design these job adverts and job descriptions in an effective and efficient way. Using the AI tool to build a job spec allows us to create a better job spec that is available to job seekers, but also it impacts the matching when job seekers apply to these vacancies and allows the system to evaluate job seekers effectively. The AI tool also makes this a lot more efficient, especially when we don't get detailed job specs from our line or our clients. Once we've created the vacancy, we go through the process of actually advertising it and also linking certain aspects to the vacancy, such as the screening questionnaires that will allow us at the point of screening to move candidates to different steps in the recruitment process. For instance, if a candidate meets our minimum criteria, the system can automatically move that candidate to a shortlist stage, and at that point start asking for additional information such as supporting documents. Again, tying into our POPIA compliance aspect, where we don't need to ask for all these personal information sets or documents up front. We only ask for information that we will need at a certain point. Using this automated screening process also impacts the candidate experience, because the candidate will know exactly where they are in the process and also what is happening next. At this point, Simplify looks at collaborative hiring or collaborative recruitment strategies. And we can bring in team members or panel members that will be part of the recruitment panel at a later stage. These team members will be assigned interview guides that will help them conduct interviews in a professional and structured way. This will allow you as an organization to make sure that you hire the best possible talent or best possible candidate for the role. At this point, we decide where are we going to send this vacancy to. And this is where Simplify is really strong. Our tool is designed to attract as many candidates to the vacancy as possible. It's either your internal candidates posting vacancy internally or sending it outside of the organization to premium job boards like Careers24, aggregators, social media, etc. This component is one of Simplify's strongest points, as we generate quite a large amount of traffic to our clients' vacancies. Traffic is not a problem for Simplify. At this point, we get candidates coming into the system, and the system starts screening out through using the screening questionnaires, but also using a matching algorithm. At this point, when we look at the candidates, the system will take the candidate CV and rank it against the other applications, but also matching it against the job spec itself. The system will have a green border around our top candidates for the roles, and then we'll show you an orange border for second best matched candidates to role. Thus, nobody needs to go through 100 or 1,000 CVs to find your top talent for the role. Once we want to engage with a candidate, we can either send these candidates to line managers for their feedback. We can integrate with platforms that allows us to do psychometric assessments or video interviews. And once we've done this, we get to a point where we're now going to look at our candidate's resume and our shortlisted candidates and decide who we want to take through to the next step. At this point, Simplify also looks at additional data sets to give our recruiters the best possible set of information that they can use to find the best candidate for the role. And these sets include, obviously, the CV that is submitted by the candidate, but also additional social media pages that is linked to the candidate's email address and is in the public domain. This will give the recruiter the ability to use all these data sets to make a better decision as who the best candidate is for the role. Through the process, we collect a lot of information. We collect information such as additional documentation that can be basically your recruitment file that you start collecting through the process. So for instance, on shortlist, we might need to get a copy of an identification document or a payslip or maybe a driver's license. The system will start asking the candidate for the supplementary information and build these files or electronic recruitment files. This will come in handy later on when we appoint a candidate and we want to export these documents and information sets into a third-party tool such as a payroll system. Our system also tracks everything that we do with a candidate, so we have a full audit trail and see exactly what happened with a candidate on every single point of the process. Through the audit trail, we can also track communication that was sent to a candidate and also received. We can then take a candidate through the process of interview and then set up the interview through the system through your Outlook or Google Calendar integration, inviting the candidate as well as panel members that will need to sit into the interview. And once the panel members has been invited, they will also receive a copy of the interview guides. And at this point, we have a fundamental impact on how the candidate would experience an interview. A structured interview allows a candidate to give us better answers to questions, but it also allows a candidate to be more relaxed. It also gives the line managers the ability to ask all the interviewed candidates similar questions and get a sense of who the best candidate for the role is. After scoring, we will be able to see out of the 4 or 5 candidates that we maybe interviewed, who was our top scoring candidate based on the answers that they've given in the questionnaire. And this again falls in part of the audit trail, so later if we have any questions or concerns, we can go back to those reports. We also integrate with third-party background check providers, which is critical to make sure that we can check the candidate's background and also see if they are who they say they are. These integrations are seamless for our clients and allows us to speak to these third-party tools in an effective and efficient way. Once we've done all these checks and we've issued an offer letter to the candidate through our email function on the system, we can then decide to hire or appoint this candidate for a role. Once we get to this point, we need to remember that we might have other candidates sitting in other stages that needs to get feedback. Even though they might not be successful for the role, giving them a simple regret letter is an efficient way of just sharing information with these candidates and updating them of the process, still giving them a positive connection to the brand and the application process. These reject letters can be customized also, so we can send a specific communication to somebody that maybe went through an interview. This would be a different communication to somebody that was auto-rejected through the screening questions. We also then have the ability to track why do we regret certain candidates. This will go into a reporting function so that we can get analytics as to why certain candidates weren't successful. This analytics is valuable to any organization, especially if we want to see why we're not making certain appointments. The final step is to hire the candidate, and this is where we capture basic information that needs to go to either approval process to finalize the appointment or needs to be imported into our payroll system. This information includes the final job grades, final salary, supporting documents, etc. that will form part of the export pack that goes into a third-party tool at a later stage. Once we've onboarded or captured the hire of the candidate, the process is completed and our recruitment process is closed off. Now, when we look at a system like Simplify, it's critical to also look at other elements other than just taking you through the recruitment process. Things like, how do we manage our candidate database? We're all sitting with thousands of CVs in our candidate databases, but we never use that data. How do we use that data efficiently if we don't have a system that manages it for us? Using our candidate database will allow us to search for skills that we require in our organization, be proactive in finding skills for roles that we see coming up in the future, and also identify candidates that maybe we want to have a conversation or keep a relationship going for future roles. Candidate databases is sometimes a very difficult thing to manage. By using a tool like Simplify, you not only control what data is in your database, how long you keep the data, but also what do you do with this data. Building talent pools allows us to find these candidates and also recommend them to future roles that we might have for our organization. As mentioned in the beginning, our fourth point is data analytics. Making sure that we know what's happening in our recruitment process is essential. We don't want to fly blind. We want to have data that allows us to make better decisions. The Simplify tool gives us a set of reports that is critical to any HR executive or HR team. Things like, where do we get candidates from? Our sources. Where do we make the placements from? What is our time to hire? Also, what is our recruitment velocity? Where does candidates sit in our recruitment process? And is there any bottlenecks? And how do we address those bottlenecks? Reports like where we get information on specific candidates as to where they are in the process and what has happened with that candidate in history. And also analytics on our teams, seeing our team's performance and also where there is areas that we can improve on. Lastly, the system also allows us to configure most of what I've shown you in our admin function. But you're not going to be left alone on a Simplify system. Our support base is critical to the success of our clients, and our support team is always there to assist and help our clients configure, maintain, and structure their systems. I trust what I've shown you today would have given you a glimpse of what Simplify can do for your organization and how we can impact your processes. Thank you.